I don't know how true that is, if we can apply it to what is going on currently in the society, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get into a different conversation first. My name is Valentine, by the way. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi.
How are you?
Good. All good, yeah.
Please
Thank you.
introduce
Thank you for
yourself to the
having me.
people.
Yeah, my name is Mengo. I am a personal branding and positioning consultant, and really my work is with people to help people explore their potential, to help people become better versions of themselves, and to in fact try the things they've been afraid to try, and become that which they have always imagined. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'd like to start it off a little bit broad before we narrow it down.
Yeah.
So what is personal branding exactly?
Well, now what you're asking questions that can be summarized in books, but in brief is just the process of really putting yourself out there, and not simply putting yourself out there and organized, but organizing your person, and then putting that organized person out there for people to meet. But people are not going to meet an empty vessel. People are going to meet a person with value. So it's also again the process of articulating your value. What value are you bringing to the marketplace? What value are you bringing to people or the audience that you target? So pretty much I think that's how I'd like to sum it up.
I have so many questions, so many, but I want to find a situation where we can take apart. For example, I grew up with 844 guys, obviously. Ingine imekuja tu juzi. Yeah, so it's a system where they tell you to go to school, get good grades, pass exams, not really study to understand, but study so that you can pass the test. That's usually what is or was hammered into us at the time. And then once you finish school, after you've passed, you go out and get a good job and make a lot of money. That's basically life as a Kenyan as we know it. So tell me something about that particular cycle.
Well, what you just described is a fairy tale, and even as you're describing it, you're smiling because it doesn't sound real.
At all.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous thing.
And I feel, especially right now, I don't know what your age bracket is. I know you're obviously 21. So
you are very wise, sir.
yeah,
very wise.
You're 21. You're only 21. But for those of us who are on third floor now, the thing is that if you were born in the 90s especially, it means you were born and raised analog, but forced to work digital. So picture that confusion, picture that kind of chaos. But people born in the 2000s, now at least they are raised digital, they work digital, and that's why you see the marketplace is having a lot of problems with these people, because in the marketplace now, the bosses are the boomers, middle management is millennials, and then you're having this other generation starting their careers. And I love how Kenyans do memes. That I saw one that a boss is looking over the window checking whether the millennial has reported. And you see, that's the reality of work today. And it's because the system that prepared us did not prepare us for the reality we are in. We are in how let me try to restructure my statement again. We are in a situation where those who succeed are not the ones who prepared for life the way we were prepared. We are in a situation where a young person running a social media marketing agency is making millions, and the engineer is earning 100,000 a month. How do you reconcile these
Imbalance.
two? And that's why you see the younger generation is having a difficult time at work, is having a difficult time in the office, because the way their boss looks at life and the way their boss was prepared for life is not the way they themselves were prepared for life. It's not the way they see life. a young person today will go live on TikTok and make hundreds of thousands. It's unheard of in whatever career you can talk of today. So it's a system issue, and maybe it's time that we had a conversation as a nation, as the world generally. The education system that we have now, or that we've had, there are parts and pieces of it that we need, but not all of it. Much of it now is not helpful, because now what do you need to study to be successful on TikTok and make more money than your parents? I mean, we are getting to a place where everyone is questioning everything, because not everything makes sense. Some of it makes sense, I agree. If you're looking for stability, security, yeah, that's a good path. Go get an education. But now we are saying a huge, if you advertise a job for degree holders, how many people are you going to have in this compound?
Oh, and people just graduated the other day.
Unbelievable. So the higher you go, the lesser the competition. But so many people are going higher just like you. How many master's degrees do we have around? How many PhDs do we have around? Then it means we need to reroute our education system to more of solving problems than passing exams. That kids can learn how to solve problems, and that prepares them for life generally. Look at the suicide rates today. It's unbelievable. But it just means that people are not ready for life, because they were prepared for education, or for further education for that matter, but they were not prepared for life. So people are finding it hard to cope. People are finding it hard to really get creative on how to go about life, because all you know is books. That's what the 844 system was.
Yes.
But I don't know, let's see. The CBC is also another huge experiment. I'm not sure, I can't say much about it now. Let's see the first candidates. Let's see how they get into the job market. Let's see. But I would say maybe the government should consider going back to teaching people actual trades. What happened to apprenticeship? Do you even hear, when is the last time you heard that word yourself?
It's been a minute, honestly.
Exactly. So, but that is what we really need, because actually, you know, I wanted to be an aircraft mechanic.
Wow.
But when I finished, by then there was only diploma that was being offered in Kenya. And when you finish the diploma, now you go to look for work. If you go to Wilson, you find that the people who are earning the salaries you would expect to earn, they don't even have that diploma you have. They just went there, they learned the trade as apprentices, they got the licenses they need. Now they are the ones who are working there. Now you compete with them. You cannot even compete with them, because they have the actual skill, you have the paper.
Wow.
So yeah, that's how much of a flaw there is in the current system.
We used to laugh about these, you know, you see a job description, let's say there's a vacancy somewhere, and you're expected to have either a master's degree and 5 years of experience. Meanwhile, you're just fresh out of campus. How am I supposed to be having these 5 years of experience and I've just, anyway. By the way. But I have met people who have been working while studying. So that kind of gives them a bit of a jump start there. How does the digital space affect personal branding? Is it at the Instagram, or nena nipige picha niko mbele ya gari ya mtu?
First of all,
I
think it's good that your viewers distinguish between a strong personal brand and an influencer brand.
There's that difference.
Those are two different things. Have you seen an influencer who today is selling a detergent, tomorrow they are selling a phone, the next day they are influencing, they are doing shoes, the next day they are doing, it's just, you can't really tell what they are about. But when you see how you would differentiate a strong personal brand is a person who influences in their area of influence, if that is a thing. Like if you are known for fashion, influence for shoes, clothes, those kind of things. But the influencers we have today, they also lack guidance. But because they are making the money, you can't tell them much. So, but at the end of the day, you see there is a level they rise to and they tend to plateau. It's because no one can really tell what you're about. All you have is followers. But, you know, there's a difference also of having 10,000 followers who are really a tribe and 100,000 followers who follow you in confusion. It's a whole different thing.
I like your choice of words.
Yeah. So it's a strong personal brand is being a thought leader in a certain space. So if you, even if you have 100,000 followers, can you clearly define your space? That this is my space, this is my tribe. If I bring a product of this kind, my people are likely to buy. I take an example of Kylie Jenner. She did, what did she do? It must have been a makeup thing. And that's how she became a billionaire, because her tribe really wants to do that. Now picture her selling, let me use a wild example, maybe a drill. Who cares? You know, because her tribe is not about that. Michael Jordan, he's a billionaire because of shoes. It's in his line. I think now you get the difference. Yeah.
So how do I, okay, tumesema it's very possible to not know yourself, as much as it sounds very insane, because who should know me better than me? Is it not me? So how do I get to know me better? How do I, because branding is basically how I've, you know, packaged myself out to sell rather. So how do I change the packaging?
Good question. Good question, because that's the whole foundation of personal branding. You can't brand what you don't know. And first of all, you have to know yourself. Even if you are to work with a branding consultant to help you, they will work with what you tell them. And of course, there are those nuances they can pick as they are talking to you, but most of what they'll work with is what you give them. Now, there's a very important exercise called introspection. And it's an easy word to use, but the actual deed of introspect is not easy, because it brings you in contact with uncomfortable truths about you. Because you have to be clear about your weaknesses. You have to be, or what you would call a SWOT analysis. I know many people are aware of SWOT analysis. Have you even done a SWOT analysis of yourself? There are people who sit in boardrooms and do SWOT analysis of their companies, but they've never done a SWOT analysis of themselves. And what is more important, is it you or the company you work for? It's you. So it's not really for those people who really want, because people think personal branding is for celebrities and those guys up there. But you see, even them, they started somewhere. So for you, to increase your chances of getting there, you start it right where you are. Sit down and introspect. Ask yourself, who is Mengo? What makes me tick? This that I'm doing, is it even something I want to do long term? You know? And then it helps you now to, because for you to even grow, you will require to transition at some point. How do you transition if you don't even know where you are? Because you should be transitioning from A to B. If you don't understand A, what are you going to do at B? You will go there confused and mess and come back to A, and maybe the A will not even be there by the time you come back. So it's you to sit down, ask yourself the uncomfortable questions. Is this what I want to be doing? Where is that place where I find excitement? And again, you can find excitement in a place where you cannot eke a living. If you find excitement in the desert, what are you going to eat? So you have to choose carefully. Those are the hard questions I'm talking about. You have to find a balance between that which you seek and again what the market needs. Because I know there's so many courses now which people do, and when they get to the market, they ask themselves now, what like myself, I spent 3 years doing a diploma, and I went to the market and I realized the market is not looking for a person like me. And the market also for aeronautical engineers by then was very small, because not a lot of repair and in fact zero manufacture of aircrafts in Kenya, and a bit of repair here and there and maintenance. But the market is so small. Even if we are few, the market is smaller than us. So how about, I ask myself, if I did proper introspect in the beginning, maybe I should have done marketing, don't you think?
Perhaps.
But yeah, but I didn't, I just wanted to, I'm this person who never wanted to do the things that everybody is doing.
Wow, the road less traveled.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's a weakness and a strength at the same time. A weakness because you may just be traveling a road where you'll be traveling alone, or with very few people, and you will not be of value to each other. But again, it's really, no, I think with my decisions, maybe I was more emotional than logical. And those are some of the things for which you have to be more logical than emotional. Of course, a bit of emotion is important. But I would say sit down with yourself. Switch off your phone. Switch off any distraction around you. You and you alone. And ask yourself the hard questions. Listen to your thoughts. When is the last time you sat down and listened to your thoughts? Hard to even remember for most people. But these are the things you need to do to get that clarity of where you want to go. Once you have that clarity, decisions are easy. Then once the decisions are made, you can define a direction. And then now it's just implementation, and you get moving to where you're going. Yeah.
Wow. That sounds, okay. Let's say I now self-audit. It sounds like an audit. I've audited myself. I know what I want or where I want to go. Do I need hand-holding now for the branding part?
Well, it depends, because hand-holding is the best, because if your hand is not held, then you're likely to make more mistakes. I have nothing against mistakes. In fact, mistakes are the fastest way of learning. But I mean, if you can walk with someone who has walked the path, they will tell you there is a thorn there, there is a snake there, there is this there. So you'll be able to avoid mistakes. And what you would do by yourself in 2 years, hand-holding will help you do it in 6 months or less. Because this person has the benefit of experience which you don't have. Or they have that benefit of knowledge which you may not have. So that's why coaching is important. Sometimes I feel, I had it though late in my life, that when there are those times you feel you're stuck in a rut. And one thing you need is, you may need that outside help. The hand-holding you're talking about. For some, it's a coach. For some, it's a mentor. For some, it's a therapist. Even though in Africa, we don't really believe in therapy. But I'll tell you, for some, it is therapy. So you get to choose who holds your hand, then to help you get that clarity. Or because mostly if you're struggling, it means you're blind to something. No? And then that blindness, if you cannot remove it, someone else may just help you. They may just, it may even be in a conversation and someone will mention something and it clicks. And you now find something to do. So hand-holding is important. If you can find it, if you can, in some cases, afford it, it's the best. But you also can do your own research. You can also study what other, in fact, I encourage people to, if you're, say for you, you're a journalist, who is your idol?
It's a good question. Oh, you want me to answer?
Yeah.
There's this lady. She was at CNN. Her name is Aisha Sise. So she do very, very wonderful features on at the African continent and the things, and not really through the eyes of despair. I don't, my, one of my takes is I don't like the way the African continent is portrayed. Like we just look like mashida bwana. Like no, there's so much. We're so rich in so many ways, and hizo features zake.
It's a branding problem.
Yeah, yeah, a big one.
It's a branding problem. So you choose to be the, now this is how you can build your personal brand. Choose to be the person that rebrands Africa. It can be done. And
you're talking to me nasty. 5 minutes of conversation with him, I'm just seeing ideas. Choose
to be that person. Choose to be that person who brands countries differently, and change the narrative by having those kind of features you're talking about. Share those stories, but you don't have to wait to be at CNN to do it. You can do it here through your social media, through your, I mean, you can have a blog, start writing, put out your thoughts. I mean, why are you keeping your thoughts to yourself? Your idol, now let me go back to your idol. How much have you studied your idol? How much have you actually idolized your idol?
Yeah, these are very hard questions.
Yeah, so now then, if you start idolizing your idol, you will see your career start to change. You will see your opportunities start to change. You will see a lot of things start to blossom in your career, because success leaves clues. There are things she did that got her to where she is, that even got you to idolize her. So I don't know how many people have read the story of Elizabeth Holmes. She's this, I don't know if she's a con or an inventor really, but I have a different opinion. I think she was trying, but she just couldn't make it in time. She was trying to come up with a blood testing equipment, which she called the Edison. And she built a very big company in Silicon Valley. She was, at some point, she was worth, I think, $8 billion. But they later came to realize that that thing she was selling was not working. But I can tell you, she had John Kissinger, former US secretary, on her board. Now, this lady idolized Steve Jobs to the T. But sometimes she used to deny it. She idolized him, the way he used to dress and everything. She even changed her voice. She went for voice training and she started talking in a baritone.
Wow.
Which is not and these are the extents to which people can go to build what they believe is the brand they need that takes them to the next level. But now I have written about her. I did my own analysis of what she did. But the one thing I know that she didn't have that is very important for a personal brand is authenticity. You need to be authentic. You need to, whatever you are putting out, you should be able to back it up. It needs to be true of yourself. And by that, I don't mean that you don't aspire to something. Aspire to something, idolize the person you're trying to become like, because now you're trying to learn from them. But the problem with Holmes is that she was not, she never used to accept that she's idolizing Jobs. But if you look at her, you see this a female, a younger female Steve Jobs. But what I'm saying is, find that professional in your field, that person that you look up to, then study them and study them to the core. Then start implementing some of the things they implemented, and you will see yourself grow. Because as I said, success leaves clues. And if you study them hard enough, you will find those clues, and you will find the things that you can be able to implement. Because again, you can study someone who is in the US and you're in Africa. The environment is different. So you must find something that really agrees with the environment you are in. But the way you implement it is now, that depends on your own wisdom. But at least you've learned something from someone that is doing very well in your area or in your field.
Is there a danger in bringing comparison now into the situation? Like, yes, I'm studying someone, but I may just lose my authenticity that I'm working very hard to fight for. And if I've learned something in this life, is comparison is the devil itself. Why are you looking at me like that?
Mm,
Do you not agree with me? Comparison is not the devil.
No,
It
I
takes
agree
away
with
so
you
much
to
joy.
some level. I do,
Uh-huh.
but there's a difference between comparison and aspiration. You're just aspiring to that image. Like me, I'm a Christian. I aspire to the image of Christ. It does not change the fact that I am authentic. It is something I'm working towards every day. It means, okay, I will never become Christ, but my thing is to I aspire to a Christ likeness every day of my life. So it is the same thing with the person you idolize. Like you aspire to be like them, not necessarily copying them. It is taking, because even the lady you've mentioned, there are things about her which you would not want in your life. So that is wisdom now, choosing to take what works for you and then implementing it in your life. So it's the way right now many people, I hear the word imposter syndrome.
Yes.
I don't agree.
Why?
It's not true. So does it mean that people should not aspire to try things they've never tried? And do you think you're going to be comfortable trying things you've never tried?
Well, discomfort
It's
kind
not
of, it's
an
a
imposter
given.
syndrome. It's just a discomfort. It's just a psychological discomfort. There is nothing like imposter syndrome. It's just a discomfort. Because this is a new thing. And the more you keep talking about imposter syndrome, you will continue feeling like an imposter, and therefore you will not learn and get comfortable in that environment. So it's not really copying. It's just carrying the lessons and finding a way to implement it in your own life. Because otherwise, if you fight to be yourself, what you are today, if it was all you needed, you'd be where you should be. It means there are parts and pieces that you can borrow, and when you learn those lessons, they now help you to bring out better versions of yourself every day. Every day, yeah. It's not really copying, but as I said, you must employ wisdom for you to do it right. Yeah.
Okay. There is, how do I phrase this? There is a notion that being humble is important, I guess, depending on where you've come from or how you've been raised, sana on how you've been raised. But the thought of humility is to play yourself down. How does that affect branding?
I don't believe.
I'm a joker.
Well, I just disagree with so many philosophies out here. Humility has its place, but false humility has no place.
Now, what's the difference?
The difference is this. And now for this, I want to accept stones thrown at me. What do you think of introverts?
What do I think of them, not who they are? I don't.
Or that, let's not talk about the people. That state of being an introvert. What do you think about?
Not really wanting to interact. What do I think about? Hey, Pana is asking me very hard questions, guys. I don't know. I assume. I don't know. I don't really get the notion, the idea behind it.
Good. Then let's not go there, because some people think this is now there's a people in a different line of thought. Some people think being an introvert is being humble. Another line of thought suggests that being an introvert is pride. Okay, so it's just the way you choose to look at things again. But look at things in a way that serves you and your goals. Now, humility has its place, but false humility has no place, in this sense that you picture in a work environment, you feel you really deserve a promotion. Humility tells you, be calm, good things will come to you.
To those who wait.
You'll wait until hell freezes over. Because the truth is that in some places or in some situations, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to speak up. Sometimes even the Bible says, you have not because you ask not. In other circles, that doesn't sound like humility, but it's the Bible, the same Bible that teaches humility. So humility, again, is being able to risk it all. Sometimes that is humility, being able to risk it all. But false humility is telling yourself stories in your head that don't even exist. Sometimes, in some cases, your boss is just waiting for you to speak. But if you don't speak, why should they hand you a promotion? Maybe you don't need it. They don't want to push it down your throat. But all you needed to do is go to that office and say, you know, when I came here, these were my roles. But right now, I have earned a master's degree. Right now, my skills are better. The other time I was in charge of 20 people. Now I am in charge of 30 people, and 10 of them are already deployed. They are already doing this. When you look at our department, this and this is what we have been able to achieve. And I think if I'm promoted, more of my skills will be used, more of my knowledge will be used. I will spend my time on more valuable tasks than the ones I'm taking care of now. And it just means that when I'm able to do more, that means more revenue for the company, less stress for those who are working, because now they have a better direction, those kind of things. It just requires you to have a conversation. Humility would not send me to Y254 to do an interview. I would say, it's okay, they will find out, no problem. But I have to come here and, because too much humility again holds you back from giving. What I'm doing now is giving. The person who chooses to use this information, it may just help them. So humility sometimes is good, but there is a very thin line between true humility and false humility. And one of the reasons I do personal branding is that I find that very brilliant minds out here are in obscurity because of false humility. They don't want to put themselves out there. Nitaka nikaona maringo, nitaka ni kama najisikia. Ni kierere. But sometimes kierere usaidia. Most of the people who are promoted ni vierere. Go and do your research.
My mom used to tell me that.
Go and do your research.
My mom used to tell me, watu wanakuanga na kierere, they go far in life. Nilikuwa.
Yeah, because what? They have solved the question of visibility. They are visible. They are not necessarily the brightest in the room, but they are visible. What they can do is known. And sometimes what they can't do is also known. So the companies know where to place them. Like in meetings, there are people who think not speaking in meetings is humility. It's foolishness. You're not adding value. You're just coming to take tea and go. Add value to the meeting, because there is a reason they called the meeting. It's a discussion. They want to hear ideas. So if you come, sit and go with your ideas, what value have you added? Zero. So there's a very fine line. So being quiet in meetings is false humility, because again, it's pride, because you are only thinking of yourself. What will they think of me? Will I look foolish saying that? But maybe the idea you have is just the idea that is needed to propel things forward. But because you're so proud, you keep it to yourself, only thinking about me. How will I look? Will I look foolish? Will I, you know? But being able to risk it all is true humility. Risking looking foolish, but because some of the most groundbreaking ideas looked foolish in the beginning. So what if those people had kept to themselves with the ideas? Yeah, so put yourself out there, risk it all, though being careful. I'm not saying now become haphazard and just do anything and everything, but at least those where you see value, give value. Yeah.
Personal branding sounds like self-actualization, and not many people reach that particular level of understanding self. Do I have to be completely comfortable? Like, for example, just being very honest, our current economy is a bit wanting. But tukisema tu kweli tukae chini tuseme hakuna pesa, itakuwa ni uongo. because watu kunje wako na pesa. You've seen this, the cars are still moving around. If you see, even when the fuel prices have soared as high as possible, like ata mweke punch per liter, there are people who are still going to be driving. Yeah. So do I need to be comfortable in areas of my life so that I understand personal branding, or do I have to personal brand and then now explode into myself?
Brand, then find out, because there is never going to be a time when we are saying this is the best time of our lives. The best time of our lives is today, because it's when we are around. Who knows where we'll be tomorrow? Now, the thing is, you could have done it yesterday, but yesterday is not with us, but you can do it today. So the country is where it is. What can you do about the price of fuel? Not much. The ones who are trying to do something about it are getting killed. I mean, that's a whole other issue. But I'm just saying that, go back to what can I do? We can agree that there are people today who don't even know what the price of fuel is. Talk less of affording it. They don't even know how much it is, because they don't even go to the pump. Them, they're just chauffeured from their house to the office to wherever. They don't know. So it really comes down to you. The government can do what it does in terms of policies and everything, and you also, you have your part, and in fact your part is the bigger part. There are countries with higher taxation than Kenya, but people are flourishing. There are countries with zero taxation and they still poor people. So I was looking at Romania, by the way. Their tax is 10%, but there's still poor people in Romania. And there are any poor people in Dubai?
Hey, unaanza kushout,
They are there. So at the end of the day, it comes back to who?
Me.
Let's learn to use it. See this finger?
See, easy.
E too. And then when you learn how to use this finger, your life will change. Because it's about you. What is in you, what works for you, what you can make work. Then once you're there, that will help you define others who will help you now to achieve what you want. One of them maybe being the government, maybe. But a lot is defined by you. The government will set its policies. Of course, now those policies, there are things they cap. But at the end of the day, most of what you need can be achieved by yourself. And yeah, really, it's a whole debate. I know there are many policy makers who will say, many things. But at the end of the day, it's you and your personal effort. And because we're in a capitalist country, so it's you. It's really you.
Hey, you're touching some. Nafaa wind up on a shanza called Let Us Stories Again. Now I'm so interested. I want to talk about neocolonialism and how it's an actual real problem. Like, yes, we were colonized by people, they left. But for some reason, they still have such a large influence. We're being colonized without knowing. Without knowing.
But 50 years on, I have a slightly different view. 50 years on, why are we talking of colonialism? 60 actually. 60 years on. It's really a corruption issue. It's not colonialism.
We will debate this
because neocolonialism only works in a corrupt environment. Do your research.
We will discuss this later during some other discussion. But if the viewer has just turned on the TV or just joined the conversation, what is the one thing that you want them to take away from here?
Well, the one thing I would say is sit with yourself, introspect, study the market, see what the market needs, ask yourself what you can provide to the market, then build yourself into that person who can provide that solution. Then provide that solution, but first of all, package yourself. Package yourself as an expert. Go. Most people's social media is in tatters. Go and make your social media look like a professional. Then maximize social media, maximize the internet, maximize the digital world, and then also this is traditional media. We use it still. I think today it's easier to get a TV interview than it used to be before. So add value. The main thing is to add value. In fact, if you didn't hear anything I said, add value wherever you are. And in fact, by adding value, your brand builds automatically. Add value. Even if you're in that village, you're in that church, you're in that mosque, you're in that community, add value with what you have. Then as you add value, people will know you as the value person and people will start looking for you. So add value wherever you are.
All right.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we have to stop it right there, but I really do like the way your mind works. I like the way you see life. I don't know if it's experience, but I have other questions.